Dr. Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more about scripting, specifically scripting for retention, that phase of treatment. It's kind of the most forgotten phase of treatment. People kind of like to do the active stuff and then they just assume everything's going to stay the way it is once you give them retainers, and that's really not actually the truth. Teeth are not like things set in cement, like they're dynamic, they are moving all the time, and there's some settling that's normal that occurs, but then there's also relapse, and we want to prevent the relapse. So let's go to my blog page if you want to follow along and get a copy. And my most recent blog is actually about retention scripting and wear protocol. And it's one of probably the most common questions that I get from doctors wanting to know like my philosophy. And a lot of times people think there's like a one size fits all approach and there's just a turnkey approach and everyone's like a cookie cutter, and that's so not the case at all. So you can take a look at a lot of my other blog pieces and YouTube videos on retention and how to pick the right retention for the right patient, how to develop a retainer menu, and even a whole retention aftercare program for your office. It's a great revenue opportunity, but it's also a great way to just establish great communication and great service to your patients who have invested in their smile. And then a lot of doctors just let them go, like here's your retainer, bam, get out. Everything else is going to cost you money, and that's not the way it should be. So also, just to tell you a little story, and I think I've written a little about this in some of my blogs, like I only had like one in my whole career, one really bad Yelp review, and thank goodness it's no longer there. If you Google search for it, it's 10 years ago, so it finally archived its way out. Awful. But it had nothing to do with the quality of what I did or my ability as a doctor, or it had to do with retention and just an inability of my team and myself to communicate effectively how retention works to the patient. Something got lost, and as much as I tried to explain it to the patient afterwards, they were still super mad. They already left the review, and that review really poisoned my practice for a long time. And I kicked myself for it, for not having had better communication. So anyways, let's talk about that. So basically, here's some of the other links that are good. You should definitely take a look at these blogs too. So in a nutshell, this is my scripting. Let me move this around so we can read it fully, okay? So there's no one-size-fits-all approach for retention. Picking the right retention really has to do with where the patient started, a little bit about the patient. Are they somebody that could maintain a bonded retainer? They understand the responsibilities of the bonded retainer. Are they somebody that's looking for something very aesthetic? Are they looking for something to settle their bite? Did they start out with crowding in the back? Did they start out with crowding in the front? There's a million different factors that go into picking the right kind of retainer, and you really should have that conversation with the patient. Some types of retainers are much more expensive. I would consider some as an upgrade, like definitely my scripting to the patient at the beginning is your treatment will come with one set of retainers, whatever is best for the case. If you're looking for a different kind of retainers or longer lasting or permanent retainers, there is an additional upgrade fee of X, and you can fill in the blanks later. Certainly for me, bonded retainers are almost always, unless totally clinically necessary, like maybe in a major diastema case that had a frenectomy, must have a bonded retainer. That's part of the process. I tell them on the front end, you're going to have a bonded retainer. That's going to be included, and they might have an Essix overlay on top of it. I'm going to cover that. That's not going to be an upgrade. But for any other patient, unless we've already worked that out at the beginning that that's necessary as a splint or something, a bonded retainer is a big upgrade fee, like maybe at least $500. Because once you place that bonded, you are married to that patient for life, basically. And I can't tell you how many, and I'm sure hygienists can tell you the same stories even more than me. They hate them, yeah? So I think that before you place the bonded, you'll want to make sure that if you are not the patient's treating general dentist, that you communicate that to the general dentist and make sure they're okay with it, because a lot of times hygienists will just pop the darn things off when they clean them, and then repair on these can be expensive, can be time consuming for both patient, can be frustrating, and even having it broken for one day, things can start to relapse. So an emergency on a bonded retainer is a major emergency, like it is. So if your office is closed, then you need to have a place for the patient to go. It's not unlike any other major problem. So if you're placing these, it's a huge commitment for a general dental office to have someone that can CYA, basically cover your bleep when you're out of town. So think think twice before you place a bunch of these unless you have a plan in place. Also, you want to make sure a patient understands the warranty. Usually I'll warranty them up to the first 30 days. Any other breakage beyond that is an additional fee of X to remove it, repair it, replace it, maybe $500, $400. You need to have that written in writing and have them sign to it, because I'm telling you, they will break often and the patients are going to get pissed off. So you need to be very clear, especially if it isn't something that is just elective, the patient's asking for it. Sure, we can do a bond retainer, but it's an upgrade fee of X. There's only warranty for the first 30 days. Any breakage that happens or movement that happens because there is breakage that is undetected by them, you got to teach them how to detect it. It's an additional fee of X, Y, and Z. So just let them know it can get expensive. Also, patients that have bonded retainers cannot bite into, they can't eat normal things. Like, it changes everything. And if they're going straight from braces, maybe they're used to it. But if they're going from aligners, it's a big change. So you can't bite into bagels, apples, pizza crust. There's a lot of things for life. Until as long as you have it on, you have to chew, you have to use a knife and fork to chew everything up. Nothing with your front teeth. And most people have a very hard time with that, you know, permanently. Yeah, there's some people that do whatever with their bonded retainers and they stay on, but that's the exception to the rule. So you need to give the patient the rules and let them pick if that's the right fit for them, because a lot of patients hate it. I had one, I hated it. I had it taken off within a year. I was like, no, thank you. I cannot floss this good. It's just not, you know, calculus builds up on the back of it unless you can use a water pick and stuff. But yeah, anyways, okay. So let's go. That was a big, big digression. Let's go on to the basic retainer scripting. So let's say the patient has a Hawley or has an Essix retainer, which are probably the two most common types of retainers out there besides bondeds. Again, depends on the patient's bite, depends on what the patient's looking for. There's a lot of benefits to each. Obviously, Essix retainers last on average 6 months. So the patient is 13, they might need 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 upper and lower retainers in a lifetime. You need to build that in and let them know that they're going to need to create a retainer subscription program and come back regularly to get new retainers. A lot of time what happens is they don't understand that and they get really mad when they find out they have to do that, because that's an additional fee. So you really should set the price. And perhaps even have them, charge them on the front end and just have them come regularly to pick them up, or give them a whole bunch at one time so they can just switch them out as they need it. So you should really build that in too. Again, if you're offering your standard set as an Essix retainer and it only lasts 6 months and you're not telling the patient that on the front end that there's other options, they're going to be mad. So you need to be very, very clear about that. So here's my scripting for wearing Essix and Hawleys. There's no one size fits all approach. So in a nutshell, some patients can go to nights after 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. Everyone's different. So this is my scripting. I empower the patients and the parents with the scripting and then just let them do. And if they're not sure, they can come in and check. But I'll just read it, you know, just in case somebody is listening to this in the car or something. So let's say the patient's name is Sarah. They're coming in, they've been wearing it full time for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And they're asking when they can go to nights. So this is my scripting. Sarah, you've been doing a great job with your retainers. Let's talk about phasing your retainers down. I know you've been wearing them 24/7, but you take them out for eating and sports. Tell me a little bit about how that is for you. What is the longest you left them out? Now pause and listen to the response. Patient might say, oh, oops, you know, I went camping, I left them out for the whole day. Or I went to my friend's house, spent the night, forgot them. Okay. Don't shame them on that, because these things happen. This is normal. Okay, so tell me how that felt when you put the retainers back in. And they'll probably say, oh, it was really uncomfortable, painful. I felt sore. Okay, so that's telling you that your teeth started to move. That's not something that we want to do. We should never have that feeling. If it feels like that, you left them out too long. We want to find that sweet spot where you can leave them out for maybe a few hours and not have that feeling. And if so, that's totally fine. So patient might say, yeah, you know, I leave them out for lunch every day for a few hours, or lunch and PE, I put them back in, feels fine, feels exactly the same. Great, then you're totally fine to leave them out for say 3 hours. Let's try next month leaving them out for 4 hours and see how that feels, and so on. And each month add 1 more hour slowly. And then over time, you can start to progress to nights. So it might take them 3, 4, 5 months to graduate to nights. It might take a year. That is my scripting for the patients, because too often we say after 6 months, magically you can go to nights. Well, that's really, usually when you tell patients that, in their mind, they're thinking, I can wear it 3 nights a week. If they're saying nights every night, or sometimes they're not big sleepers. They may only sleep 4 hours a night. Well, that's not enough. Okay. So by nights, I'm thinking 12, 11, 10, 11, 12 hours. You put them in after dinner, you leave them in till breakfast. That's not always what patients interpret when you say that. So you need to be very clear what nights mean. So for me, when I tell patients that nights mean after dinner, you put them in, brush, floss, and you leave them in till you get up in the morning and have breakfast. 11, 12 hours, that's nights. And then maybe after a few years, you can go to every other night. See how that feels. Right now, just personally, I still wear retainers. I probably wear mine 1 night a week, and we're like 20 years out. But if I don't wear them for 2 weeks, oh, they're sore. And that means they're starting to move. Now, that being said, if you have an Essix and that soreness is there, often it moves it back because it encapsulates the whole tooth. So it moves it better. If you have a Hawley, it may not. It may help with spaces, but it won't help to move other movements. So once it's moved, it's moved. So that's what we call relapse. And there's not much we can do about that at that point. At that point, you'd have to go back and have some type of treatment to fix it. So anyways, all right, that was a big, long spiel, but hopefully you get the idea about retainers and just creating a great retention aftercare program, great communications with your patients on the front end when they start treatment so that they know what they're getting and they're satisfied and they feel like you took care of them in all the phases of treatment, not just the active phase, but as well as the retention phase. All right, thanks so much. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask us. We've got hundreds of blog articles, hundreds of YouTube videos, free webinars. There's a lot of free services out there for doctors, and we're glad to connect with any doctor out there. All you got to do is go to our website. Let's go up there and show you how to do it if you haven't seen the demo. You can go to the website, you can click Contact Us, and it allows you to actually create a virtual appointment, which is free for everyone. You can schedule a free telephone consultation or send us an email and we can set it up for you. So, and we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to give you some tips for your practice. And if you're looking for one-on-one support for actual cases, very easy to sign up today and get started. A lot of times doctors, you know, they need to think about it. There's a lot of things to keep in mind. So you can go ahead and click the sign up today button and it lets you pick what you're looking for. Okay, and you put in your registration. We have a couple options. We have different monthly memberships. Most of our programs are on a membership program. That means you get unlimited support. There's just different communication styles. The concierge definitely has a lot more support than just the premium. We'd be glad to explain that to you, and it's listed on our website. If you just need help with one case and you want to sample something, this is what you click for that. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day.